From the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pod's Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm your host, Christina Ellis, joined today by my co-host and good friend, Dr. John Deloney. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Hey, there's a lot going on in the world this week, a lot of drama. We've got spy balloons, we've got UFOs, we've got China, we've got money stress, inflation, and it's a lot to process. If you need a friend today to just talk to, if you've got personal things going on in your life and you just need someone to connect with, we are here for you. So give us a call, 888-825-5225. Let's go to the phones. First up, we have Kathy calling from Naples, Florida. Hey, Kathy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much.
Thanks for calling.
My question is, I moved to Florida about a year ago and kind of following a dream. I'm a registered nurse, 63-year-old divorcee, and I came down with incentive, like an $18,000 incentive from the hospital. And so I kind of made that as an excuse to pay like $2,700 in rent. I figured for a year to figure out what I'm doing. And it turns out that the year is up and kind of the incentives are spent. And now I have a choice to make whether I'm going to spend half of my paycheck, which is about take-home pay, about $2,700 on rent, or purchase a home, which I'm trying to do, but it's I'm finding that the homes in the town that I'm in, just outside Naples, is more than what I sold my home back in Illinois for.
What was this dream you were following?
I don't know. You know, my kids came to school down here, and when I visited, I kind of fell in love with the area, and I just felt like I want to get out of the cold. You know, I'm having to work for at least a few or several more years, and I thought the traveling will be easier. And anyway, so I find myself here, and now a year is up, and I'm kind of looking at getting a mortgage if I stay in the town that I really like. Or I could go home, which is not really against, I'm not totally against that. But, you know, I'd be with my family and friends up there. But anyway, I'm feeling kind of torn.
Well, here's where that question about your dream is important.
Okay.
If you want to change the weather, great. That's awesome. I totally get that. I grew up in Texas, and it's 1,000 degrees most of the year. And so I wanted to go to a place where it was going to have seasons. Or maybe you had a divorce and you just took off because you needed to be away for a season. And that makes sense too. Or you want to be around your kids, or you saw them having fun and you thought it'd make you feel 20 years younger and you want to go, like whatever it is. What I don't want to tell you is you should go back home and be with your family, or you should stay here. I want you to make decisions that are best for the plans you have. But often when we start chasing dreams, that's when we make dumb decisions financially. We get ourselves in a mess with it if we don't know why we're chasing this dream. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It certainly does.
Yeah, and Kathy, I think there's a lot of middle ground here. So you want to stay longer, correct? You're not done with the dream. You want to be there. Is that a correct assessment?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I feel kind of torn. You know, I've got 6 children, and like half are there. And, you know, anyway, I feel kind of torn. I guess I haven't really made that.
Hey, Kathy, what if I said, who cares about your kids? What do you want to do?
I know. Thank you.
I'm just like, I'm your friend. We're having nachos. Like, I don't care what your kids are doing. They're busy. They got their own lives. What do you want to do? Do you want to go back to Chicago? If you do, you had a fun year paid for by some hospital in Florida and as a good Control-Alt-Delete, and we're going to go back to Chicago. Awesome. Or do you want to stay in Florida and rock it on till the break of dawn? Like, you get to pick. Or you want to move to Nebraska. Forget everybody. Like, what is it that you want to do?
Yeah. I guess if I would decide for myself, I probably would stay.
Well, then if you stay, I think right now there's kind of like 2 big buckets you're seeing it as. $2,700 in rent, which is super expensive, or buying a house. But I think there's a pretty big middle ground. $2,700 is a lot. Have you looked around the area to see what other rent prices are?
Yes, you know what I did, and because I'm kind of stuck on this little town I'm in, I'm pretty much I'm part of the lowest rent around here.
Is it just you?
It's really, things are super inflamed.
Yeah, is it just you, or do you have a spouse?
It's just me.
I mean, I know it's not necessarily traditional whenever you're older, but have you considered maybe even living with a roommate, especially if this is like an adventure? It's a season of life. This is not something that you are for sure you want to settle into for years to come. Maybe you could have somebody else who's in a similar season, live with you for a period. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, you know what that is. That's a good idea. I've been told that, but I've not wrapped my head around it. But that would make sense since I'm kind of indecisive, and that would buy me more time. This incentive actually is going to end a year from now, so I'm a year in. And anyway, the rent money they gave me is basically gone, but I would have to pay back a little bit if I left even
What
now.
are you making as your nurse job, like besides the incentive?
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
What is your salary outside of this incentive?
It's about 82.
Okay. So do you ever get those things in the mail that it's like, hey, buy one window, get one free. We're going to be in your area. Or, come down to Golden Corral and we got buy one, get one free. You ever get those kind of coupon-y things?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have to use them all?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you? Like, do you feel like you have to go to Golden Corral and spin that thing, or you have to go get new windows in your house every time you get one of those things?
No, personally not. No.
Okay, so I want you to be really grateful. I mean, this company must really value you and your skill set. You must be incredible at what you do because they offered you this cool incentive, and you don't have to take it. It doesn't have to be part of your life if you don't want it to be. You don't have to. You're not beholden to this gift somebody gave you because suddenly it becomes really comfortable handcuffs, right?
Well, and I think that there's just there's a lot of pressure. I think right now there's kind of like extremes, and I think that can often lead to indecisiveness because it feels like I have to go all in on this decision or all in on that decision. But I think right now you have a lot of options, and whether it's, getting a roommate or going back home, like see this season of life as an adventure. Like you said, it was a dream when you started it. And it still can be a dream, but I think if you start putting that pressure on, I have to buy a house immediately, that's when it can start feeling like, kind of stressful. So thanks for the call, Kathy. We're cheering for you. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show.
If you're like most people, your home is your most valuable asset. And when you want to make improvements, it can feel like everything costs too much or takes too long. But something as simple as custom window coverings from Blinds.com can completely change your space and add value to your home. We've recommended Blinds.com for over a decade, so you know you can trust them. From blinds, drapes, and shutters to motorized shades, they make it easy and affordable to upgrade your entire home, and their team is ready to help with everything from design consultation to measuring and installation. Plus, there are never any misleading quotes or hidden fees. Everything's backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee, and shipping is always free. See why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Visit Blinds.com to save up to 45% off everything site-wide. Go to Blinds.com now to learn more.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. With debt payments and now inflation stealing more and more from your paycheck, we know a lot of you feel like you're drowning and you're scared to death that you won't have enough to take care of your family. You shouldn't have to live with that kind of stress. But if you want things to change, you need to say, I've had it, and decide to try new things with your money. That means it's time to try Financial Peace University. This is our 9-lesson course that'll teach you how to beat debt and build wealth. It's everything you wish you learned about how to handle money. Nearly 10 million people have taken FPU, and they'll tell you that you don't have to worry about money like you used to. They're in control, and you can be in control too. Decide you're done stressing out about money and take control. Start Financial Peace University at RamseySolutions.com/FPU. That's RamseySolutions.com/FPU. All right, John, this is an exciting day. It is our first time co-hosting together.
This is our first time?
Yeah, this is our first time.
Oh, man, look at that.
We sit 10 feet away from each other, but it is our first time on air together.
That's awesome,
It's an
man.
exciting day.
I can't think of a more exciting thing. That's
So
incredible.
awesome. All right, next up, we have Roger calling from Bethesda, Maryland. Hey, Roger, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate it.
Hey,
Been
thanks.
watching the show on YouTube and highlights and got a lot of informative information and, trying to fix my life. And I was wondering if you guys can help me out in this situation I'm in.
Yeah.
So-
Well, shoot. Let's hear what's going on.
So I'm about total $45K in debt right now. I've already started saving, my emergency fund and all and everything. But the thing that's bothering me right now is with one of my credit unions. I went ahead and paid off my car loan with them. But with the same credit union, I have a debt consolidation loan and a credit card that defaulted. The credit card is about $25K. The debt consolidation is about $16K. And what I fear is that they did try to reach out back before COVID, but I haven't heard from them. And now I'm hearing nothing. And when I paid off the car from the credit union, I didn't receive my title. So I called the bank and they told me that I should call the folks that took on the debt. And my question to you guys is this something I should be proactive and reach out? Because I don't have enough saved up for this yet. And pretty much, I'm not ready to negotiate. And I'm worried that could they come after my car? That's my first question for you guys.
They can't hold your car. They can't hold your car title hostage. You paid that.
Okay.
You paid that loan off. Okay.
Did you pay the
That's
loan
great.
off?
Yeah, I paid the loan off in December. So that whatever money I have saving up for that is what I'm saving up on the side.
And hey,
I'm just afraid.
Roger,
Go
here,
ahead.
I sorry to interrupt. I want you to change. You got to change your language here, okay? And there's a reason why
Okay.
I'm adamant about it. Your credit card didn't default itself. You didn't pay your
Okay.
bills, right?
Yes, correct.
What has kept you from working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 5 jobs, 7 jobs to make sure that you signed on a piece of paper? Hey, if you let me have this money, I'll pay you back. What's keeping you from doing that, man?
Nothing really. I mean, I am working 2 jobs. I have my day job, and then I do drive for Uber right now. I recently just started my sobriety. I'm about 100 days into that.
Awesome.
Fixing my life and I went through a lot years ago, and I'm finally faced it and trying to fix it. So I'm working these 2 jobs. It's just a matter of I'm afraid because prior to this, trying to fix this mess, I was sued by Discovered, and they also came after me. They actually garnished my check, and I had to plead and beg with them on a deal where I'm pretty much forking over a lot of money to them almost on a monthly basis, But, with paying them down and saving up money.
How much do you
it's
owe in
just a
total,
matter
my
of-
man?
I don't have the exact number, but I think it's up around 45,000.
Okay,
altogether.
when you feel this sense of fear take over,
Mhm.
it feels like kind of feels like you're drowning, right? Like everybody wants a piece of
Absolutely.
you. Everybody's calling you. But there's a great power in sitting down with a pen and a piece of paper and going through all of the accounts that you owe money to and writing them all down in order of smallest to largest. And
absolutely,
you may find out you owe 60 instead of 45. And I'm telling you, you're going to have more peace knowing facts, knowing the data, than just wondering who's going to hit you next. If you can walk into a room and know those two guys are going to hit me, then you can defend yourself, you can leave, you can avoid those guys or whatever you got to do. But if you just walk into a room and think anybody can hit me at any time, your body's going to sound those alarms 24/7, 365. So get some real data. The second thing is, and again, I'm asking these questions not as judgments or anything, but I want to inspire you. Why haven't you gotten in your car and driven down to the credit union and demanded to speak to somebody? Not demand like a jerk, but demand with respect and dignity, like to sit down and talk to somebody and say, I'm over my head. I'm newly sober. I know I made a mess. How bad is it, and how do we build a plan moving out? Like, what's kept you from doing that?
So I actually did call the bank, and
no. Go down there in person.
Okay. Yeah, because they're just giving me the phone number of the folks that are holding the debt, and I'm like, I really want to be adamant about fixing this.
You need to go talk to somebody and look them in the eye and say, my name is Roger, and I'm back.
Okay.
And I've scratched and clawed my way back from hell. And dude, I just want to tell you, I'm proud of you. 100 days sober is a huge accomplishment. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's huge. I think you need to really, like you're saying, dig deep and find, it feels like there's fear in there. There's a little bit of intimidation. I think before you said you had Discover come after you and garnish your wages, and you're a little bit afraid. You've kind of sulked back, but we want you to charge forward, charge at them. Make the people at the bank start to feel like they're dreading you come in. Like, bring $2 in. If that's all you have to pay that day, like, show them that you are showing up and you're not going to deal with it. Like, you are going to deal with it, but you're not going to deal with their crap. So I would really get proactive about it. Like you said, you were asking, should I be proactive? Absolutely.
What do you do it for work right now? Besides Uber, you say you had a full-time job?
Yeah, so I'm a facilities supervisor. So I mean, I'm thankful that I do make enough to provide for myself. I have, good fortune and my living conditions and all, and I've cut down and cut back a lot of my expenses and what I was doing.
What are you making? What's your salary?
So I'm at total with my W-2 from last year. It showed us 63.
Okay. So at 63, are you renting a place? You got an apartment or something?
No, I'm actually renting a room from a family member.
Oh, fantastic. So your living expenses are pretty low, huh?
Yeah, they are very low. So I've been able to save up, the emergency fund, and I'm going on saving up a little by little to attack this debt. But like I was trying to say, when I did try to talk to the bank, they're like, hey, both accounts are already, to another creditor, or they sold it off to someone else. And I'm like, okay, well, when I try to talk to the Discover folks, they were so adamant about me paying the right amount and this and that, and it just built like you guys are saying, it built up a fear.
That's right.
And I don't want to call those people, and like you're saying, go into the bank and talk to them directly. I don't know, they're going to direct me to that same number and say, hey,
okay,
you have
so
to call them.
You just changed the story a little bit. If they've already sold your loans, they've already sold your loans. They need to provide you with who they sold them to and a contact info there. And listen, just think of it this way, like, you do owe them money, right? So I'm not going to be mad at somebody calling me to get my money. If they act like a jerk or treat you less than, you can just hang up the phone. And you could say, hey, I'm not interested in you being disrespectful. I'll pay you when I can. Or when you're ready to work up a plan with me, that's fantastic. But they are going to come after your stuff. They are going to call you and call you and call you because they want to get their money back. And I am okay with that. What I really don't want you doing anymore is trying to save and do this and say, just start throwing every extra penny you have on the debt. Throw it all on there. Get very clear about what you owe. Put all of your debts in order from smallest to largest and start knocking them off one by one. What you need is a bunch of little wins, my brother. A bunch of little wins. Pay off the $35, the $75 loan, the $100 here, the $200 credit card. Start working your way up, man, and throw every penny you have outside of that $1,000 on this debt. Get it done with, man.
We've been doing business at Ramsey for more than 30 years. By now, we're a well-oiled machine, but it wasn't always that way. Yes, we've always had a vision, always had determination, and a drive to help people. But what we didn't have was one central place to access all our numbers so that we could get further ahead or quickly see when we needed to pivot. We were always jumping back and forth between different systems and spreadsheets. So when NetSuite by Oracle helped us wrangle our revenue, inventory, expenses, and more into one place, it was a game changer. And NetSuite's #1 cloud financial system can help your business gain the same visibility, because businesses thrive on timely data. And NetSuite's real-time analytics can help your business have immediate access to your numbers daily, so you always know where you stand and you can move quickly. So go to netsuite.com/Ramsey today and set up a free product tour. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. All right, Deloney, I want to talk about something. It's a little bit sensitive. I feel like a lot of people don't want to talk about this, but it's a struggle that kind of crosses our worlds together.
Are you going to talk about how fast I'm aging? Oh. Please don't.
Not on air.
I'm sensitive. I'll make fun of you in private.
Yeah.
So what's up?
So we've talked a lot. You have suggested, especially internally here with the personalities, we should all see a counselor, right? And a lot of team members here talk about counseling. So I finally decided I'm going to get a counselor.
You made the call. Way to go.
I made the call. Okay, which is great. I'm excited about it. But then I asked for a quote. Deloney, I literally got quoted $165 for a 50-minute counseling session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I literally, right before the show started, I could pull my phone up and show you. Right before this show started, I just set up another appointment with mine. So yes, I'm in that boat with you. It's expensive.
Yeah, and we just did no spend month. I literally spent $100 a week on groceries for a family of 4. And now I'm going to spend $165 to talk to someone. Yeah. That's $3 a minute. And I know it's good. I know it's
$3 a minute. It's amazing.
I hope they're going to change my life.
Yeah.
But we do know mental health is important. And I feel like we're constantly saying on air, get a counselor, take care of your mental health. But the costs, that's a real struggle for a lot of people. So
yeah, and there's oh man, you're gonna get me in trouble with this. So with everybody, so across the country there are shortages everywhere. So there's calls all the way up in Washington, all the way down to the local level. We need more counselors, need more counselors, need more counselors. And I coming from that world, that's my community, that's my gang. Like, I agree. I think I called one today. I find great value. And anytime it's just basic economics, when there's as much of a scarcity as there is, like in Nashville where we live, it's hard to find somebody that will take insurance. They just go to cash pay because their books are completely full with people who can write $150 checks an hour. And that's awesome. Dave pays you and I real well. $150, $165.
That hurts.
Hurts, right? It's a lot of money. And so beneath that is a whole swath of people that could no more write a check for $150 than they could write a check for $1,500, right?
Yeah, I'm like, if it's hurting me, like this is an issue for a lot of people.
That's exactly right. So, so I want to point out, and I want to do this carefully and with respect, more people are in counseling right now that have ever been in professional counseling in the history of the world, right? And what I mean by that is a licensed mental health professional, which is a relatively new thing, whether it's a LMFT or a social worker or whatever. And the anxiety and depression rates continue to skyrocket. And so I want to say, I go talk to a counselor to help me navigate problems. When I was doubled over with anxiety and I couldn't move and I was radioactive, a counselor was instrumental in getting me from point A to point B. But what I'm seeing more and more is, or hearing more and more is, I've had this counselor for 7 years, and I always stop somebody and go, why? Oh. Why are you seeing the same therapist for 7 years without stopping every week? You see what I'm saying? So I also while I want people to get in line and go see counselors, I also want them to get a close set of 2 or 3 or 4 friends they can be super open and super vulnerable with. Because we have professionalized human interaction in many ways. We have a very, very lonely generation. I've talked about that all the time. And instead of doing the terrifying hard work of going to ask a group of people like, hey, y'all want to come over? Or y'all want to go get drinks and nachos or whatever? We just call a therapist and we'd rather pay the $150 than deal with the discomfort. And so I'm challenging folks to also seek out human connection in other places. So when it comes down to like actually making these payments, there's a couple of options. I did my entire counseling practicum and with an extraordinary group that was specifically designed for low income or students or folks who just couldn't make it work and financially. And also, the university I work at had multiple different programs that had clinics for people who were not students to come in, and it was $10 or it was $30 or it was free, right?
Wow.
And so I want people to get creative about looking at the local universities in their area and see if they've got clinics that they have for the general public, right? Is there a sliding scale with your counselor and just say, hey, I know the rate on your brochure is $165. I make $9 an hour. Many therapists. In fact, I would say most have a sliding scale that would say, okay, we'll see you for $45 an hour, or we can do it for $50 an hour, or whatever that looks like. And make sure you're calling your insurance company to see if they can help out with the copay, right? And then the other big one is we're blessed here at Ramsey. We have a program that Dave, the company will pick up X number of dollars per session, right?
Yeah.
For X number of sessions a year. And so ask your employer, do they have any programs for someone seeking mental health counseling? If you feel safe doing that, right? And not everybody does, but
yeah, that's huge, especially in
it's a great place to reach out.
First responder world. So my husband
Yeah.
is retired police, and they had an entire mental health department,
Right.
but a lot of cops didn't utilize it. You know,
That's right.
they're out there seeing death every day. They're seeing all these dramatic circumstances and ending up having PTSD and all these different symptoms, and yet still not wanting to go in and see a counselor.
That's right.
And the resource was free. So make sure, especially if you're in that situation where in your job you're seeing a lot on a daily basis, nurses, so many nurses worked through COVID and saw horrors and atrocities. And, you know, there's cops in the field, there's firefighters. Like, use those resources that are available that are literally included as part of your job.
That's exactly right. And it's real easy that your job becomes your entire network. It becomes your friend network. It becomes your work colleague network. And I was always recommending people to get connected with people outside of your work environment. It just changes the dynamic, right? You might be a little bit less honest if this person next to you might want your job someday. Or you might be a little uncomfortable to tell your friend who also has a reporting obligation that you're struggling with an addiction of some sort, right? So that's when you might want to reach out to a counselor, go to a local group, go to a local group counseling is another way that's really so incredible. But there's a lot of options if you want to get creative. The main message I want to pass along is if you need to get counseling, figure out a way to make it work, okay? That may mean that y'all aren't eating out, right? And that means that you're not buying clothes. And people often say like, we're not going to sign up for soccer the next few months. And that sounds like the end of times. I promise that your kids will want a regulated dad, a dad that feels healthy, more so than playing a soccer game. I promise you, right?
That's so good.
Figure out a way to make it happen and talk about sliding scale, be open, be vulnerable, and then get some guys and some men and women in your life that you can be friends with and be vulnerable with.
So how do you know if you have the ability to spend money on a counselor, and let's say your baby step, 4 through 7, like, how do you know that it's time to prioritize getting a counselor?
I would say even if you're in baby step 1, if you're baby step 1, like, you would not go to a doctor and get your medicine. If you need to go see a counselor, if you're struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety, go see somebody.
Well,
right?
I think a lot of people are frugal, right? They're like, I don't want to spend, are my problems worth $165?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes. And it's not so much your problems as much as you're going to learn some new tools that are going to affect every relationship you have, including the relationship with yourself.
Well, that's somebody said that the other day. They're like, this will ROI. Like, you being a better person, like, this money you're spending on this counseling session is going to pay off. Like, you will be able to show up to work better. You will be able to help other people better because you are well.
And you'll show up with your kids better. You'll show up with your spouse better. You'll show up with your person you're dating. You'll show up everywhere in the world well, right? And I don't say better as though you're worse off. Like, you just show up well. You show up in that elusive magic word that now feels like a fairy tale. You just show up with peace, right? And so the art of counseling, the counseling relationship, what you're doing is you're practicing being in a relationship with somebody. And as a mid-40s guy, played Texas high school football, like, hey, I know how to do all the crush it and kill it and drag it.
Yep.
I didn't have the skills to sit down and be in a relationship with somebody and say, I'm not all right. I didn't know how to even do that without sounding ridiculous to myself. A counselor helped me practice being in a relationship, and that made me a way better husband. Makes me a way better dad. Makes me a way better work colleague, right?
Yes, and I think it's so important to take the stigma away because I grew up with an immigrant mom where it was like muscle through it. You're tough. And for a while it was like counseling. That's not something you do, and I just
It's
love
for weak
that,
and broken people, yeah.
Right, and I love that we're talking about it now, and that you're talking about it, and just making it something that's normal.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be here without it. And I don't go every day for 7 years, right? It's both and, right? It's both and. But make the call, figure it out.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Hey, if you're a new listener and you want to dive deeper into the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for your financial journey based on exactly where you are today. That's RamseySolutions.com/get started. All right, next we have Jose calling from Long Beach, California. Hey, Jose, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. How can we help?
My question is, I'm thinking about paying out or buying out my ex-wife from my pension. I just retired a year and a half ago, and the buyout would be $65,000 cash. And if I didn't pay her out, basically she'd get $1,000 out of my pension every month.
Do you have $65,000?
Yes.
I would write that check today and be done with that relationship forever.
Oh, okay. That's what my brother said. Exactly.
And listen, I don't even know if that works mathematically, and I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Like the longer y'all are braided together, man, it's just more room for mess, dude.
All right. You know what? That's exactly what I was told. But I said, you know what? Let me look on YouTube. And I looked at Ramsey, and he has all these different talks about, money, financial decisions, stuff like that. And I said, let me call these guys and see what direction they can guide me in. So
now, hold on. And listen, Jose, I'm impulsive, and I also am relational. Christina, am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Okay, all right. Christina's an infinitely wiser and more measured human being than I am. If somebody breaks up with me and we're done, then I'm going to be completely done. That's just my way of doing life.
Right. Like I was sitting here about to math it out, and then you said that, and I'm like, I'm with you in that boat, because yes, maybe the numbers will like add up in a certain way, but if you have the cash, this would be a different conversation if you didn't have the cash. But if you have the cash, like I'd be out. I'm done.
I might. Because I did the numbers, and it shows like I make up the difference in like 7 to 7.5 years.
Well, and how old are you?
52. I just retired about a month and a half ago.
So do you, I was going to be mean, man. Do you miss her, Jose? Do you like having to pay her every month just to stay connected?
Well, I haven't started paying her yet. That's what I'm saying. Like, I haven't got my first pension check yet, but that's why I got to do this like today or tomorrow. I got to decide.
Dude.
Because once I get the pension check, I can't.
Do y'all still talk? Do y'all still communicate?
Well, we have 2 kids together, so it's like we have to talk.
Okay. So have you broached the idea with, is it written into your divorce decree that this is an option?
Yes. Basically, she has to just sign a waiver form, and it basically eliminates all her community rights to the pension.
Will she sign that form?
It's already pretty much done. I just got to push that button to send that money. It's just hard sending a lot of money like that as well. But
bye, Felicia. Bye. Pay it off right now. Right now. Be free. Be free.
Well, and it's kind of that, like, pick your heart. Like, it's going to be real hard to send that check every month or allow that money to go every month for years.
Or
But,
6 years from now, you're going to meet somebody amazing, and she's going to love the fact you're still paying $1,000 to your ex-wife. She's going to love it.
No, that's what I'm trying to, look at all the finances and say, okay, I'll get this for my pension. These are my bills for the month. How much would I have left? It's just like all these numbers all over the place. It's just trying to make the best decision possible.
To me, this is almost entirely a psychological decision, not a math problem. I want to be done with that as soon as I can. I'm going to continue to honor her and treat her with dignity and respect as the mother of my kids and my kids' mom. I'm going to honor her, but I'm going to move on with my life. I'm going to write her the check, and I'm going to be done.
Well, and I think it's like big pain up front, right? Like it's it's a huge hit up front, but then if you go the other route, it's kind of like a slow burn of resentment. You still have kids together. So it's like you're going to feel that $1,000 missing from your budget and going, man, like every month it's like, if I didn't have this situation, if she wasn't, in my life right now in this way, I would have $1,000 back. And I think that's going to breed resentment. And you don't want that. Like you're ready to move on. Y'all, you can move on. You have the money to do it. So, yeah, I'm with you, Deloney.
Good for you, man.
All right, up next we have Victoria calling from Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, Victoria, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, we're doing well. What's up?
So I'm in a little bit of a predicament. I went ahead and I had $17,000 in total on a few cards, and I wasn't able to pay it, and so I decided to do debt consolidation.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and now I'm learning why people don't do that.
Why weren't you able to pay your $17,000?
At the time, I was a full-time student, and I just moved to Phoenix from Kansas City, and the cost of, my rent was already $1,400, and I have, medical debt. I also owe my car, my auto loan, and I was just very overwhelmed. So I was kind of like, okay, how can I get out of this? And so I was just made an impulse decision and thought it would fix things, and it made things so much worse.
How much total do you have in debt?
Total, so on the credit card debt, I owed $17,000. I have about $10,000 in medical bills, and then I think I only owe about $4,000 left on my auto loan, and then obviously life costs.
And then did you consolidate all of this, or the $17,000 is the consolidation, and the rest are separate?
No, so the $17,000 is the original amount that I owed. I now, after the consolidation, according to the people that I consolidated with, I now only owe a little over $7,000. Since September, I've paid them $1,700 because that's when this all started. So I'm a little bit lesser than that now.
Do you have? Who do you owe the original debt to?
The 17 is dispersed between people. So I have Wells Fargo, American Express, the Citi cards.
Do you have anything in writing from them about these settlements, or have they started suing you?
I just got sued, and that's why I'm calling.
So yeah. It sounds like you're getting run around from this debt consolidation company. I would end all relationship with them immediately, and I would call each one of these cards and say, I was young, and I got scared, and I did something stupid, and will you help me? I messed up. I would plead with them, and I'm going to say this with all due respect. Is that cool? We're friends. Is that awesome?
Let's do it. Be blunt. I need the honest truth.
Okay. I got 2 PhDs, working full-time with a wife and kids all the way through. School's hard, and I'm not – hey, listen, I'm not that smart, and I'm not that hard of a worker. So what I'm telling you is you can figure it out. But – I know you got overwhelmed. You learned a good, expensive, hard lesson, right? You got to go get a job in probably 2 and probably 3, and I think you can still do that and keep up your school stuff, okay? I want you – you need a bunch of little wins right now psychologically as much as you need some money.
Yeah.
Are you working at all right now?
I am, yeah. I have a full-time job.
What is your income?
I just started at the beginning of last month, and if I'm honest, I haven't calculated it out because I didn't officially start till the middle of January, but my guess is probably under $3,000.
Are you getting paid hourly?
I make tips, and I also get paid hourly. My hourly wage is $10.68, and then it's whatever tips I get because I'm a waitress.
Okay. And what did you study? You said you were in school.
I studied writing, songwriting, and worship.
Hey, listen. My degree was in humanities. We've all been there. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You need another job besides waitressing. Okay. Another full-time job and you waitress on top of that. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, pick up every shift you possibly can. I really want you to work like a maniac for the next 12 to 24 months and just be free for once and for all. You know what I mean?
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I would really like to be free. That sounds great.
I know.
Yeah.
And there's no hacks or secrets. I'm so sorry. I wish there was like a group of folks who were super bent on helping people. They're not. They just want to take your money. And then you're the one that gets sued, not them.
Well, and it's like
I love it.
as you work and as you have that money available, you do have more negotiating power, right? Like if you go out and work like crazy this weekend, you just work 18 hours and you get a big chunk of cash, then you can go to one of those guys and say, hey, I've got this much money. Will you accept it to wipe out things? Like, can we be done now? It just gives you a little bit more power. So, girl, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's heavy, but you can do this. You can get through this. It feels like a mountain now, but you'll be out of it before you know it. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back. Hey, it's Christina Ellis. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Ramsey personality Christina Ellis, joined today by fellow Ramsey personality Dr. John Deloney. And we're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Hey, if you like the show, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with a friend. All right, let's go to the phones. First up, we have Chris calling from Tampa, Florida. Hey, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
So my wife and I are kind of like in a kind of like a paralysis. We've paid off about $170,000 of debt. We're pretty much debt free.
Whoa, that's awesome, man.
Thank you. We've been hammering at this pretty much since 2017.
Are y'all still friends?
Yeah, even closer.
Wow, fantastic.
Thank you. So right now, I make just under 50 I'm retired out of the military. My wife makes about 120. And then when I was working, I just got cleared medically. I got into a car accident. I was trucking for a little bit, making about 85, and I had a drunk driver hit me on my time off. So I just got medically cleared not too long ago. So we're looking at trying to buy a house. We have enough for down payment. We're looking at a house that's going to run about $550, about 26, almost 2,700 square foot house. And what's kind of got us in the paralysis of everything is basically this. We can buy down points and get down to like the low fives. And it would take about 4 years for like the $350 a month payment to recuperate that money. But on the same token with this house, it's going to need a new roof within about 5 to 10 years. The pool's going to need to be redone, and the windows are going to need to be redone. Our mortgage would be looking at about $3,000 a month. Now, with the state of Florida, because of my veteran status, I don't have to pay property taxes. So that does help out tremendously on that end, dealing with the monthly mortgage payment. But we're very scared between the homeowner's insurance kind of going up, the cost of everything. Another company offered me a job which would bring our income to just about net $16 a month. And so it would just kind of be like food, groceries, and then just a nanny for our 2 children. throughout the day. My wife does work from home, and then obviously, working locally, driving around, I'd be out of the house too. I just don't know if we should continue to rent something for about $2,500 and save the money and maybe save up a whole lot more money to fix and repair things like that.
So hold on, let me interrupt you, Ryan. I can see why y'all are paralyzed. You've got 50 things going on all at the same time.
Yeah.
Let me start here. Do you owe anybody any money?
Nope.
Zero. So you're completely debt free. You don't owe anybody anything.
We have one credit card that has $1,000, and it's her company that she works for now reimburses her for like buying stuff like printer ink, things like that. They give her a stipend every month, and it just gets paid off. But I could pay it off right now if I wanted to. But that's all we have is literally $1,000 on the Chase credit card.
Why don't you just do a debit card?
We have a debit card for all that. So our credit got hit really bad, and so we've been kind of putting things on the credit card, pay it off, and then put it on the credit card, pay it off every single month, and that's kind of raised up our credit. When we were $170 grand, that was like we were still renting.
What kind of debt was that 170?
That was a bachelor's or 2 bachelors and a master's, truck payment, motorcycle payment, and about 35 grand in credit cards.
Do you know what my credit score is?
0, probably.
I don't even know. I don't even bother checking it. And that's not because I'm like some kind of fancy rich or whatever. I just don't care. And the bank, when I bought my house a few years ago, I think I had to sign another form and show them my pay stub. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so all I have to say is like, I'm not going to dance with the devil just to raise my debt relationship score up.
Okay.
Why are you moving? Let me ask, why are you moving? Are y'all moving just to get out of somewhere? Like, what's this? Why do you want to get to Florida so bad?
So we were in up in North Carolina, just outside of Raleigh, and moving down to Florida is where family's at. And so we were paying like really cheap rent and everything else, but we just moved back to Florida just due to the economy, family being here. Just kind of was tired of the state. My wife got taxed out the yin yang for state income tax.
Okay.
Just things of that nature.
Okay.
And so we just kind of got tired of it.
How much do y'all have in the down payment?
We got about 28 grand set aside.
Okay. What percentage is that of 550? How much down are you putting?
So if
it's about
we
5 or 6%, huh?
Yeah. So if we were to go through with it, so the escrow was 6 grand, and this is once again we haven't gone through anything, but it would be 6 grand. For this, and then the rest of it would be for a closing cost. I was looking at doing a debate between like a VA or an FHA, and that's been another big kind of poll each way. This would be our first time buying a house.
Well, and I think that's where some of the anxiety is coming from, is that's not a lot of money down on a $550,000 house. Plus, this house is going to need repairs, like significant repairs, new roof. That's not a small, $5,000 repair. That's a major repair. So if I'm in your shoes, I'd be feeling a little nervous too, not because it's not time to buy a house, not because, there's anything wrong with the housing market per se, but I would personally be nervous with having a smaller down payment, knowing that I also am going to have about, potentially $50,000 in repairs almost immediately.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. We're trying to talk to them now about getting the roof covered, and that was like a big thing on buying it. The reason why we've really been big on this property is it's 2.25 acres. So we kind of want chickens. We want to like have a garden, and then obviously land for my kid and all the rest.
Here's what I'm most worried about for you, Chris. Most worried about. Mm-hmm. Are you in Florida yet? Or are y'all still in North Carolina?
We're in Florida.
Okay, y'all just renting right now?
I'm with my parents, and I've been here for 2 weeks. I don't want to be here another day.
Don't blame you. Oh man.
Yeah, so that's why we're kind of like all thrown with it, because this company offered me money in 16. Okay.
I know. But here's what's about to happen. You are dating somebody, and she's wonderful. She is kind, and she's beautiful, all the things, and she is not right for you. You have talked yourself into this property, and you are going to bend over backwards to make it happen, and you're going to end up in a mess. And you're talking from a guy that waited years to land at the place that I wanted to raise my kids on property with some acres and all that stuff. And I hated every second of it until I finally got there. I'd hold off, man. I'd go rent a tiny little place. I'd rent a 2-bedroom apartment if you got to, and save up all your money, put 20% down on this place, and move in with some peace, not just sprinting into this thing just because, you're going to get yourself in a mess, my brother.
Y'all, there's a lot you can't control when it comes to healthcare, but there is something you should check out that can help. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is not insurance. It is budget-friendly, biblically based health cost sharing. That means a community of members helping share the burden of each other's healthcare costs. They help people just like you in all 50 states. So see if CHM could be right for your family. Learn more today at chministries.org/budget.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. All right, John, I came across an article on mental health. You know, it's in your wheelhouse. Wanted to kind of see what you thought about this.
I'd like to just call out, usually when I get surprised on shows like this, George has like some TikTok clip. So thank you for being an adult and bringing an article in.
Oh, great.
What do you got here?
Yeah, this is a good one. It's called 5 Ways Credit Cards Can Improve Your Mental Health.
Well, I got hemorrhoids, America.
This is a real article.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. Right.
What?
So let's go. It says, according to a money and mental health report by Bankrate in partnership with Psych Central, just under half of U.S. adults say that money has a negative impact on their mental well-being. That's true. The ability to provide for a household or keep up with day-to-day expenses can cause major stress. Pair these responsibilities with the possibility of a recession and record high inflation, and it's no surprise that many of us are feeling the heat. I like this setup. They're like trying to just like make us all feel warm and fuzzy and like, yeah, we're all afraid. We're going to give you something good.
Okay, I just want to tell you, for everybody listening, I want you to call this out. Anytime you read an article and it's talking about one organization in partnership with another, usually that means that somebody is buying the authority of somebody else to sell their product. It's why you'll see companies buy a professorship at a university so they can do their quote unquote research for their R&D for their programs, and they put all the negative findings in a drawer, and then they just published all the glorified stuff, right?
All right, well, buckle
just
up.
seeing this,
it gets better.
I'm reaching for the preparation H. Go for it.
Luckily, there are still ways we can take control of our finances.
Oh, thanks, Bankrate.
Strategic use of financial tools like credit cards can allow us to put our money to work for us. With this at our disposal, we can steadily chip away at those money and mental health woes. Here are 5 ways credit cards can improve your mental health.
I just want to say to my friends at Psych Central, y'all should be ashamed. I don't even know what you are. But if you are about helping people, you should be ashamed of yourself. Bankrate's just doing what Bankrate does. They're trying to sell credit. And, you got a rattlesnake in a bag. I'm not going to be mad at the rattlesnake for trying to bite me if I put my hand in there. But a mental health group, if that's what Psych Central even is, it's disgusting, man.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Well, okay, they got 5 tips, and even just reading it kind of made me nauseous. I'm like, oh my goodness. So the first one is using it to pay down existing credit card debt. So basically just switching things over, taking advantage of the 0% APR, basically alleviating your issue with another temporary solution.
So they're lying to you. Now they're saying they're paying down credit card debt, but all you're doing is moving debt around.
Yep. And then the second one, this one's kind of epic. It says, plan a free or heavily discounted vacation. Y'all, we're in stress. We're feeling mental health issues because of credit card debt. So let's go on vacation.
Oh, man. And let's hold on. You should pick a rewards card that best aligns with your spending habits and use your rewards earnings to cover costs. So we have record high inflation, the possibility of a recession. We're really feeling financial stress. What you should do is just use the right card and then go on a vacation. This is madness.
Yeah. And we've talked to a lot of people that are doing their credit card rewards and all of that. And everybody thinks that they're going to be able to be the person that uses the rewards. They never go into debt. But that's so sad that we're literally talking to people this article is talking to people who are stressed out, right? They're already in credit card debt. They're frustrated. They're feeling inflation. They're feeling all these things. And it's like, hey, why don't you try this out?
Well, and let me tell you this, and I've mentioned this on the show before. I used to have a card and I paid it off every month. I never had any debt on it, but I put all my expenses in there and to just get free flights. I did it all the time. And I got free flights. I really did. And it occurred to me one day, this airline company's not my friend. So there's got to be something else at play here. And then the more I dug into it, it's that single mom who can't afford food who's paying for my vacation with her 32% APR fees. Mm-hmm. I'm not participating in that nonsense because it's just squashing people who are desperate, who are struggling, who are hungry, whose kids need shoes, and they get this kind of nonsense. And then I get a free flight out of that deal. I'm out of the system. I'm gladly going to pay for my flights that are not going to be on the back of somebody who can't afford to make the payments. Does that make sense? I'm out of the system. I'm opting out, man.
Yeah, I literally just posted that yesterday. I was doing an interview and posted that's my same reasoning, that it's like in order for me to win with points, somebody else is losing.
That's right.
And that's just so sad. The other points are save on everyday expenses, which they're talking about like cash back and basically making sure you spend enough so you get cash back, which is kind of crazy. I was on with George one day and he was doing the math on like how much you'd actually have to spend to get that free flight or that amazing cash back. And it was ridiculous. Another point is build your credit, of course. And then the last one is to navigate the cost of a large purchase. They are suggesting to use credit cards to navigate large purchases. They basically say that they talk about emergency funds. It says our bank rate survey cites insufficient emergency savings as the leading cause of negative impacts on mental health surrounding money. Whether prepared or not, emergencies happen and they can be costly. A credit card can be a great tool to have in your arsenal to cover you in a pinch.
You don't need an arsenal. You're not at war with your life. You just need an emergency fund, which means you need a couple of years of really, really uncomfortable, awful, hard work, not seeing your family, not seeing your friends, not eating restaurant. Like it sucks. I've been there, man. You've been like, it's the worst.
Yep.
And then on the other side of it, man, I don't need an arsenal.
No. I mean, and I think what's bothers me so much about this article is it's talking to people like they're your friend. Like the credit card company is your friend. Hey, you have a mental health struggle. Hey, you're feeling down. Inflation's getting you. We have a solution for you. It's like leading a sheep to the slaughter. It's like that is not the solution. That is like the opposite of what we're trying to do here. It's the opposite of how we're trying to help people. And it just breaks my heart that there is somebody who's feeling mental health struggles right now. And they're reading this article going, oh man, like maybe that is the answer. And they're now going to be calling us 4 years from now with $70,000 in credit card debt.
Yeah.
Because
Bankrate in partnership with Psych Central did their study. And here we are, guys. Way to go.
Speak to the mental health of somebody who feels very fragile right now and they're overwhelmed with their finances and they don't have an emergency fund and they feel frustrated. Like, what would you tell them if they read this article right now? What would you tell them to help them go the other way?
There's so much here. Ultimately this, and I think I can make a pretty compelling neuroscience case. If you owe somebody money, your brain is never going to let you rest because even though your frontal lobe knows, and I don't want to get all nerdy, but your frontal lobe knows, hey, that's a good deal. That's 0% APR. It's no payments for 5 years, whatever. We can look at a spreadsheet and call that a good deal. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that's designed to keep you safe, is going to sound the alarms, and those alarms might look like anxiety, they might look like depression, they might look like any number of things, because your brain knows in its core being that Toyota Motor Company is deciding what you do tomorrow, Discover Card is deciding what you do tomorrow, not you. That you're not safe. One little glitch in the matrix and you don't have food because this other company is going to say, I want my money now, and you're paying for last month's rent this month, and you're paying for last month's food this month. It's just a nonsensical cycle that we got to stop. You can't go into more debt to solve your issues. And I'll also say there is some emerging research that's really powerful that suggests going through challenges, heading into the storm, that's the way to mental health healing. And most of us can't do that by ourselves. That's what we talked about earlier, about getting a counselor, getting somebody to walk alongside you, getting a group of friends that will walk with you. But avoiding these things and trying to hack your way to better financial health or hack your way to better mental health, it's not how it works. It's not how it works. You got to take the long, difficult path and do it with other people. And that's the path to healing.
So good. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show.
Look, I love real estate, and I want you to have a house, but I don't want a house to have you. That's why you need to get in touch with Churchill Mortgage to make sure you do this right. These guys are awesome. They'll help you get on a smarter mortgage plan because they're committed to doing what's right for you. That means they check in every year with free consultations to help you stay on the right plan. They show you how to save money and interest so you can build wealth faster. They walk you through the total cost of your loan so you can make the best choice. Basically, they care. That's why we call them Ramsey Trusted. You can achieve debt-free home ownership, and Churchill is here to help. Go to their site, churchillmortgage.com/Ramsey, to start your approval or get more information.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. On the line, we have Ryan calling from Portland, Oregon. Hey, Ryan, welcome to the show.
How you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. How can we help?
Well, I really want to know if I'm making a smart decision. I'll kind of give it all to you here. I just recently paid off a good portion of all of my consumer debt, all my credit cards and everything. I paid off $29K.
Way to go, man!
11 months.
Way to go,
I know,
dude!
I'm excited about that.
You should be.
I definitely got my emergency fund. Just the $1K at this point. The only remaining debt I have left is my wife's student loans, and that's $60,000.
You mean y'all student loans?
What's that? Yes, all student loans. Yes, exactly.
There you go. We'll get it. Y'all student loans. Okay.
Yep. But this is where my dilemma is. I really want to move to Texas, and my whole family does. Not just me. My whole family wants to move to Texas, and we have saved up about $30,000, and we could apply that $30,000 towards the student loans, but the cost of living, the schools, and the job opportunities that my wife and I could have in Texas is very intriguing. And I want to know if that's a smart decision to move my family to Texas and spend that $30,000 that I saved up. Or is it smarter to put it to the student loans and continue staying where I'm at? And about a year ago, I talked to Dave, and he ended up telling me to move out. I live in a bachelor pad, but that's pretty much where I'm at.
You live in the bachelor pad with your wife?
No, well, I did. I still do. In the past, I've met my wife living in the same house, and we continue living in the same house.
And there's like multiple roommates?
Nope, just my family.
Okay.
Is the
It's
smell still
it's
linger?
in a rough neighborhood. And what's that? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what Dave was saying. It's just gross, but it's just in a really bad neighborhood and everything. And a good portion of my whole family just wants to get to Texas and start something new. But I'm having a hard time if this is a smart move.
You're saying your whole family, is that like kids or who are you talking about?
My two kids and my wife.
Okay, so you didn't move out of the bachelor pad.
No.
Okay.
All right, let me. I want to free you from something. Okay, your kids don't get a vote.
I know they don't get a vote. The reasons why I use his opinion, I guess, is because he will be starting high school, and I want him to start high school in the same school. Like, I don't want to pull him out of school.
I totally get that. I think that, but again, that's a decision you're making. Let's just go ahead and pretend that most kids, most of the time, want to stay in the same high school with the same friend group. Many want to leave and start over, get a do-over. They get whatever. But again, he's your kid, and he's relying on mom and dad to make the best decision for their family. He can't carry the weight of, should we do this? Because if y'all move to Texas and it's a disaster, a 14-year-old can't carry that burden. So don't put it on him. Okay.
I don't feel like I'm putting it on him. I'm just grabbing his inputs on whether he likes to stay here or move to Texas.
Okay.
And he wants to move to Texas too. I'm not putting the pressure on him.
Okay, so this $30,000, are you wanting to buy a house in Texas, or are you just wanting to keep it in an emergency fund? What does this have to do with the move?
This has to do with the move of getting from where we are to there.
Just like transportation and moving costs.
Transportation, exactly.
What's your trade? What do you do?
I'm a mechanic.
Okay. What's your wife do?
And my wife is a nurse. She's an RN.
Okay. Christina, hop in here and tell me you're an idiot. If I'm in your exact shoes, I was born and raised in Texas. I spent 40 years there. I love it. Okay. It's where all my family is. All of them. Okay. If I'm you, like you've cast too much weight on Texas. It's this mythical place that's gonna help out all these other areas, and it actually might. Some of the things you're mentioning, the schools, the cost of living, you get to keep most of your paycheck because there's no state income tax. All that stuff's awesome. It's gonna be very different from where you are in Portland. Absolutely. If I'm you right now, I would take that $30,000 minus my $1,000 emergency fund, and I would be paying off my student loans until an opportunity presented itself, until your wife has a job, till you've got a job, and then I would negotiate with her employer, probably more than yours, but maybe not, depending on what certifications you have, to help them, have them help you move down, right, and make that part of her sign-on package, and cross that bridge when you get there. But right now you're living in limbo land, and you're trying to play both sides of the fence, trying to pay off debt, but also save up some money, and try to pay off debt, but also let's move to Texas. And you see what I'm saying? You're just kind of spinning your wheels really fast in this in a muddy field.
I agree with you. I guess I left this part out. My wife is applying for the job. We're waiting to see what the offer is. She had a job opportunity. We're seeing what that is.
Okay. I would see.
I don't know if there's any sign-on bonus. I don't know any of that at this point. I just know the money that I have could get us down there.
What's your take-home pay right now?
About $150K a year.
Okay.
It could be slightly higher than that. 150 is probably in the lower part of it, but it's a strong 150K. It might be as high as 165. So
you've got almost $30,000 that you can pay off right now. That leaves you with like just over $30,000 left to pay. With $150,000, could y'all have that paid off by this summer?
No, I don't think so.
Because here's my thought: your kids are in school right now, right? Like they've got to finish out the school year. Ideally, it sounds like your son wants to leave, but you could give yourself a little bit of runway and still do the move, be debt free, move to Texas with no debt, and still negotiate the package, get your moving costs, and just start in a really great place.
Why couldn't you pay it off by the summer?
Because what we're doing to keep saving is we're putting so much money away. If that was the case, I don't think I could come up with an additional $60,000.
Well, it wouldn't be 60. You'd pay that 30 that you have right now, that 29.
But it would take me close to 20 something, maybe 25,000. I'm not the exact positive on the number to move to Texas.
I think you're making that number up, dude. I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah, where'd you get that number, the 25?
My wife's been doing a lot of homework. and I'm getting that number from her. I don't have all those papers in front of me, but she's definitely put a lot of effort into coming up with these numbers.
I mean, having just moved from Texas across the country to Tennessee, it's not as quite as a dramatic a move from Oregon there, but the move was nowhere near that. It was expensive, but it was not that. And depending on how you negotiate in, her employer should pick some of that up, particularly with how starved people are for good employees. Yeah. And I wouldn't just apply to one
shortage.
I would not just apply to one job in Texas. If I'm her, I would be applying all over the place. If I'm you, I would be applying all over the place. Because you're going to cast all of your hopes on one offer from one place, and you have no idea what the market's willing to pay.
This is true.
Well, and I think if you resign yourself too, like I love the idea of trying to negotiate the moving costs. And it's like if you've already resigned that $29,000 to this is going to be moving costs and I'm not going to try to negotiate. You're just going to spend that money. But it's like if you are hungry and you're like, we have paid those loans off. We don't have the moving costs. So this has to be part of the compensation package. Like you're going to negotiate that much more aggressively. And It sounds a little bit like you feel a little disheartened right now. And I think that like with a little bit of a mindset shift, you could really go in and tackle multiple goals, rather than just kind of passively doing it.
Here's what the bummer about moving to Texas is going to be. You're going to go with you. And if your marriage isn't great right now, if you're exhausted by life, if you're worn out, Texas isn't going to solve that for you. It'll put some more money in your pocket.
I don't think we have any of those problems.
Do what?
I don't think we have any of those problems. I feel like my marriage is strong and the household, I'm
not trying to cast that on you. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if you're putting all of this weight on this move to solve your problem, it's not going to. It may make some things infinitely better. But I want you guys to, like Christina said, your mind shift's got to shift now before you go. And y'all decide, man, we're going to pay all this stuff off. We're going to be debt free. Let's go. Yeah, you use the best word, Christina. Just resigned. It's kind of like, it just kind of is what it is. It doesn't have to be that way. This could be an awesome adventure, and we're gonna make them pay us to come, and we're gonna be all, man. Shift your mindset here, not just this. Well, it's gonna be like this. I'd pay those student loans off, man.
Well, and it's the difference between going on and all in. We hear Dave say all the time that personal finance, winning with it's 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge, and it's like you got to shift the behavior. That's how you win. This is The Ramsey Show.
Let's face it, taxes are so confusing. And if you buy into some of the tax service ads out there, you'll believe that you're too dumb and you'll never get a grasp on taxes and you shouldn't even try. Or maybe worse, they suck you into offers that won't help you win with money. But we think you're smarter than that and you deserve the truth. So here's a tax tip today. Are you ready? Let's do this. A tax refund, dun-dun-dun-dun, is not a bonus. It's not free money that fell from the sky. It's a refund. It was always your money all along. You, because you're so kind and lovely and wonderful, you just loaned it to the government, interest-free, because they're great with money. And you thought, you know what? They need more money, so I'm just going to loan them some of mine, and then I'll fill out a whole bunch of papers, and maybe they'll send it back to me at the end of the year. Come on, guys. If you get a big tax refund, sure, it can be super fun and you can spend it on stuff you don't need. The smart thing to do if you do get a refund is to put it on your current baby step. Then adjust your paycheck withholding so this doesn't happen again this year. It's your money that you could use each month to pay off debt, invest, or put towards another goal. If you haven't already, make sure you work with a service you can trust. You got complicated taxes? Get a Ramsey Trusted Tax Pro on your side, like one of our endorsed local providers or national partners. If you're comfortable filing on your own, Ramsey Smart Tax is the way to go. And Christina, I've used both of these. I did Ramsey Tax from my kitchen table a couple years in a row, and then this year I reached out to a Ramsey Trusted Tax Pro, and they've already. I was way late to the deal on that one. I should have done that a long time ago. But both of these options are amazing, right? And they got low upfront pricing with no hidden fees, no agendas. We're not bringing you with a low price and then try to sign you up for a bunch of stupid credit cards or whatever. Go to RamseySolutions.com/tax to see what's best for your situation and get started. That's RamseySolutions.com/tax.
All right, today's question of the day comes from Steve in Rhode Island. I may have missed it, but is there a document of what Christina buys at the grocery store?
That feels a little
as well as what her family's meal plan is. We would love a copy. Oh my gosh, I love this question. Yes, there actually is. I posted it on my Instagram account on January 6th. My Instagram is @IamChristinaEllis, and that's Christina with a K. And Delona, you're probably a little bit confused about why somebody's asking this.
Just to clear up the air, America, if you want to know what's in my grocery bag, a bunch of organic stuff and pounds of gummy candy. That's basically my shopping list.
A winning diet.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we did the no spend month in January, which we basically, we cut out all discretionary spending, all non-essentials. We spent on the four walls and just tried to save as aggressively as possible. And part of that was we cut our grocery budget down to $100 a week for a family of four.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. In December, we were not spending $100 a week. I say that our budget got pretty fluffy, kind of like my body did after eating all the cookies at Christmas. And we just needed to fine tune. We were like, we should not, I know there's inflation, right? And it's crazy, but like we should not be spending this much money on groceries. This is insane. So we need to cut back. We need to cut it down. And so in doing that, I wrote out a meal plan where I had other people on Instagram. We did this as a whole community, which was super exciting. We had hundreds of people doing no spend. And I wrote out exactly what we were buying to keep it at $100. And I wrote out recipes because I wanted to show people that it's realistic. And that's literally what our family followed. And it was so amazing and exciting to do it in community because we had people who were like, I was spending $1,500 a month on groceries and we knocked it down to $100 a week. Like, I never thought I could do that. And it was crazy. The overall totals for the month, we had people saving everything from $200 to, there were multiple people who saved over $6,000.
Whoa.
So it's just, right. It's with everything going on with groceries, with all of inflation, it's a good thing every now and then to just do a tune-up and go, can we cut back?
Or an overhaul if you're paying $6,000, right? That's not a tune-up. That's a new engine.
But it's been amazing for our family, too. So we went really extreme for a month, right? We did the $100 for a family of four. And what was cool was we actually wanted to use from our pantry. So a lot of weeks we only spent like $30 or $40 because we were trying to use what we already had. Right. So just doing that now, we've flexed our budget a bit. We allowed a little bit more, and we're still spending about $125 a week. That's just awesome. Because we were so disciplined for a while that now it's like, I don't really want to go back to spending all that money. Like, why is it needed? I'd rather go on vacation or save for a house and do these different money goals that we have versus just literally eating our food, like just eating our money away. Like, what's the point of that? So yeah, I just encourage everybody who's feeling stressed out about grocery costs, like there are ways to really, really cut back. And I posted it January 6th on my Instagram. Hopefully can give you some tips and advice on, ways to do it. And they're not going to be the fanciest meals. Like I'm no chef and I don't love cooking. I basically was like, I want meals that literally in the next 4 or 5 years, I could teach my 4-year-old how to make.
Yes, yes.
I don't want it to be fancy.
And so can I tell you the derivative benefits, the downstream benefits? Your kids are participating in cooking. Y'all get to spend an extra 30 or 45 minutes or an hour, right? It's so easy just to say, hey, kids, get out of here. Go watch something while I do this. It's my own. But if you bring them along, then suddenly you have this connection time together. They're learning how to measure stuff. So the learning benefits are forever. We get to learn lots of patience, right? Yes. And then I'll tell you, I've got a 12-year-old now. And the other night he came in and said, hey, do you guys mind if I make dinner? And we were my wife and I were like,
Yes.
Game on, like we won.
That
This
is my
it.
dream.
We
That is
won.
literally my dream.
That's right. And so, but my wife has been bringing our kids along all the way, like and teaching them math and how it all works and all. But now, it's fantastic. So I love what you're doing. And you hit on something that was I wish I had learned this 20 years before. When my wife and I, when we sold our house and moved into a residence hall to pay off debt. That was part of the story. Part of it, we paid off debt. Part of it, I was so anxious I couldn't breathe because of how much money we owed. And I was on a trajectory. You're supposed to get a new house and a bigger house. And every time you get promoted, you're supposed to get another big house. And every time one kid grows half of an inch, you need to get more room for everybody, right? All that. And then we moved into a residence hall, a tiny little apartment, tiny, as a dorm, right? We will never, it completely reshaped the way we will own homes and the size of the home we'll live in moving forward. Not that owning a big home is bad or anything like that. It's just we realized, we actually enjoy living together where we have to make do and we have to love and we have to say I'm sorry. We got to say excuse me. And it just reshaped our entire trajectory of how we're going to buy houses because we just hit the pendulum all the way over here. And it's kind of like what you guys experienced with your meals. We just went caustic for 1 month and then we realize we can do this. And not only can we do this, we kind of like a lot of this, right? And it shaped how y'all are going to do food moving forward.
That's so good. I think it's important for all of us to stop every now and then and go, why are we spending this way? I had the thought that like Amazon kind of came out of nowhere on us, right? Like we went from when you wanted something, you had to go to the store to buy it to, okay, there's this Amazon Prime. I'm going to order every now and then to all of a sudden there are packages on your doorstep every single day. And it's like, that wasn't a conscious decision. I didn't just suddenly become an Amazonaholic. I just like fell into it. And even just stopping for a month and going like, I can walk in a store still. Like, I don't need to buy something every single time it crosses my mind. Like, I can wait. And even with grocery stores, I saw a study recently where it's like back in the 50s, there were like 3,000 options of things you can buy. And now there are like 40,000 options. In our brains, I mean, you talk about...
Can't handle it, man. It's too much choice, yeah.
So much choice. So just cutting back and cutting down and going like, I need to have things be a little bit more simple for a while. I need to like regroup. And especially with everything changing so fast in our culture and inflation and all these things, just taking time to go...
I love it.
Okay. And with what you said with the kids, our kids actually felt it. My son's 4 years old. And like, that was a big thing for me, even like pausing to go, what am I teaching my kids about consumerism? Like he now knows that like when we want something, we buy it on Amazon. And do I want him to know that?
Yeah.
So just taking the time to be intentional with your finances, pausing every now and then and saying, do I really need to spend that much on groceries? Do I really need to buy on Amazon every time it crosses my mind? Like, what am I doing with my money? How do I want to live my life? And what is my legacy? All right, that puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. Thanks to all the guys in the booth and to my co-host, John. We'll be back soon.
Hey, it's Dr. John Deloney. If you love the show and want a deeper dive on your money journey, we have a weekly newsletter that gives you trending and helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for our newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pod's Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm your host, Ramsey personality Christina Ellis, joined by my co-host, Ramsey personality and good friend, Dr. John Deloney. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. First up, we've got Christina calling from Salem, Oregon. Hey, Christina, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Hey, thanks for calling. How can we help?
Hey, my husband and I are on baby step 2 currently, and we have had to pause for about 2 years now and just started paying back debt again. But we're kind of like feeling a lack of motivation here. Just need some tips to kind of like kick back into gear, get gazelle intense again.
Tell us about the pause. What happened?
So I had a baby last October 2021, who was stillborn.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we initially thought we could just go straight back and start paying off debt, a couple of months after, but we decided to try for a baby again. So I currently have a 4-month-old now who was also born October of 2022. And I just started work back again now, so we kind of have just started after that whole emotional roller coaster, kind of started getting back into gear again.
Yeah.
Did you ever spend some time just being sad, just grieving?
I feel like a little bit, but getting pregnant pretty quickly after losing our first, I kind of just put it all on hold.
What was your first name?
Georgia.
Georgia. Beautiful, beautiful. My niece is named Georgia. It's beautiful. Here's the thing about grief. It'll catch up with you. And it demands that you honor it. And that feeling of lack of motivation, another word is apathy, another word is your body's just kind of bringing everything down. There's not a lot of color. Why are we doing this? And it's often a tree that grows out of unacknowledged grief. And sometimes that can be as simple as you and your husband writing Georgia a letter, tell her how much you miss her, tell her about the new brother or sister that she's never going to get to meet, and that you're sad and you think about her. And it could be a small ceremony that y'all have a year later or 2 years later. Or it can be as you go see a counselor and do some real trauma healing. What you just experienced the last 18 months of your life is really heavy, right?
Yeah.
And then probably the fear you felt rattling your body as you were getting closer to your due date with the baby you're holding right now, that was a scary time, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And so your body's wearing all this stuff. And then you look at it and you're like, all right, let's get gazelle intense. And it's like, how about you leave? Because we're not getting gazelle nothing. We're sitting right here on the couch. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a lot. Y'all been through hell and back. And sometimes it's important just to stop and acknowledge it.
Christina, do you have a counselor?
Not currently. We listen to John's show a lot.
Oh, that's not always helpful, right?
I would recommend, especially being in this season of being postpartum, having all this grief and trauma, walking through that with someone, because there's just naturally for any mother who's just had a baby, there's a lot of hormones, there's a lot of things happening, and then you actually have a really huge trauma to sort through. So I would want to do that with a professional who can really speak to where you are now and just the past 2 years. That's a lot.
So let's take that trauma and I'm going to move it over just a little bit. We're not going to knock it off the table. I'm just going to move it over just a little bit. Okay. When somebody tells me they don't feel motivated but they have some goals they want to reach, what I want to communicate to everybody listening is that motivation is a fleeting mistress. She comes and goes and comes and goes. And if I only worked out in the morning when I felt like it, I would not be very healthy. Okay. So I don't rely on motivation to do much of anything. I'm not always motivated to be a kind husband, but I'm still going to be kind. And I'm not always motivated to go. I had the other night when I forgot, I ran by the store to get something for Valentine's. I had a wild, I'm not motivated, but I'm still going to do it because it's right. And so when you and your husband decide, hey, we're getting back on this wagon, we're going for it. And I think now's a great time. Y'all need some little wins together. I think waiting for motivation, it isn't the right path. I think making some choices that we're going to be disciplined, whether we feel it or not. We're going to live like this. We're going to follow these baby steps to the letter. We're not going to deviate off them at all. You're going to wake up in 2 or 3 months from a fog, and you're going to realize you've made some serious progress, and then progress begets motivation. It gets exciting again. You realize you're on an adventure, and suddenly you get that extra gas that you didn't even know was in the tank. How does that sound?
That sounds pretty good. Sounds like what we're going to have to do.
How much debt do you guys have?
When we started, we had 102. We started in April of 2020, right after COVID basically started. And we paid off about $50,000 in a year.
Wow. Way to go.
So y'all know Gazelle Intense. Y'all know it.
Yeah, we were really scorched earth. And then throughout pregnancy and all that stuff, we kind of paid off little chunks here and there when we weren't saving for baby, basically. So now we're at $43,000, I think.
Okay, and what's your income?
Last year I believe it was 90.
Okay. I feel so encouraged that you've done this before. This is not new to you. You're not at the very bottom of the mountain. And I think right now it feels like you're just stuck in a valley. And it's like, I think the more maybe you have a vision session with your husband, you kind of map out, how long you think this is going to take alongside getting counseling, alongside doing all these steps. But, having a clear vision, I think this season just feels like the trenches. And I think if you see like in a year to a year and a half, we're going to be totally out of this. And by getting out of this debt, I'm going to feel more freedom to spend more time with my baby. Maybe you have a career, like whatever it is, it's like if there's a vision at the end of it, I think you'll feel like that naturally also produces some motivation.
That's right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you Financial Peace University, the updated version. And it's got all new videos. We reshot them all. They even let me and George do one. So we're going to send it to you. And I know y'all have probably already been through it, but I want y'all to get re-energized again. Okay, so I want you and your husband to go through them again, watch them again, get that feeling back. Y'all have been scorched earth before. You did it, and you did 50,000 that time. You didn't even have that far to go this time. You got 43, and then you're holding this beautiful why as to why we're going to do this. And you're going to look up in 18 months, and this whole thing's going to be over. Okay, I'm so proud of you, man.
That's so.
Please take care of yourself too. Is that a promise?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the call.
We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Up next, we have Mackenzie calling from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hey, Mackenzie, welcome to the show.
Hey, y'all. How are y'all doing today?
We're doing well. How can we help?
Okay, so I'm going to be graduating in December with a degree in business administration with a major in management. I have completely put myself through school, but have accumulated about $1,500 of educational debt, but that should be completely paid off in the summer. All that said, I'm pretty confident in my GPA and standing that I'm going to get accepted into MBA school. So I have kind of like two questions in one. Do you think it would be wise to pursue this higher education, and do you think it's worth it? And also take out $20,000 to $25,000 if I'm debt free.
How old are you?
21.
I'll let Christina answer this philosophically. I'll tell you, one of the last universities I worked for actually moved the MBA program. You actually had to leave school and go work in the work world for a couple of years before you came back, because a lot of these MBA theories and economic ideals make no sense. I mean, you can pass the test out of a textbook, but there's no real world application. So I would ask you, why in the world would you, why do you feel like you need to get an MBA right now at 21 instead of getting out there in the business world and cutting your teeth and seeing how this whole thing actually works in real life?
Well, I'm working right now in an office, and I really enjoy it, but also I think more so just the credentials of it and a resume builder. It's kind of been pushed on me to go to MBA school from professors. So, it's just something I thought I needed to pursue.
And I would tell you, the professors, they all went and did that, and then they went and got their PhDs, and they came back. And so that's their track. And I mean, I've got a bunch of graduate degrees too. What I'm telling you is you absolutely are not in a place where I can fathom you needing that credential at this moment. If I'm hiring, and I can't count how many people I've hired in my career. I don't even know, a lot. I would much rather hire a 28-year-old with a ton of experience than a 22-year-old with an MBA.
Okay.
I've seen that a lot. And I'm curious, okay, so you said it's $20,000. Is that a year or for the whole program?
That's for the whole program. It's completely online. And like I said, I would be like working simultaneously while going to school. So I would do that like at night.
So is that $20,000 like, is that what you factored after your income, or is that like total cost of the program and you're going to have additional income?
That is just the complete cost of the program itself. That's not factoring in what I'll make after graduation or anything like that.
And how long is this program?
About a year and a half.
It's just like an executive MBA.
So I'm wondering, why can't you cash flow this?
Well, I have completely worked to put myself through school, so I don't have like tons of savings built up.
Right.
So every time it's time to pay my tuition, that takes the savings or something, so I haven't really built up a savings for it. So, and I also know myself, and it would be tough for me to go back to school once I've stopped. So
right, okay, but okay, so 20.
I don't buy that. You're a gangster, dude. You paid for you scratched and clawed your whole way through this. Here's what I think. I think you really feel insecure about yourself in the work world, and you feel like this is gonna be like a cape of some sort or a shield of some sort against that insecurity. And what I'm here to promise you is it's gonna elevate it. It will make it exponential.
Okay.
But I'm also thinking, okay, so if it's $21,000 for the whole program, the program is a year and a half. That's about $7,000 a semester. Is that correct?
I would think so. Yes, ma'am.
I think you can make $7,000 a semester, especially if you're out getting experience, if you're working. You said this is a nighttime program, so you can work full time.
Yeah. Yes, as soon as I graduate in December, I'll go full time, and I would probably start the program the following semester.
Well, and it's like, I know that you have been hustling to graduate with, a small amount of debt. You're going to be able to pay it off by the summer. You're probably feeling a bit tired, and I think you kind of have two directions right now. You can go get a job, like John said, and just start in the real world and then get your MBA in the future. Or, we're not talking about $40,000 a semester. We're talking about $7,000. And if you're getting the average paying job after graduation, like, you should, if you still live like a college student, be able to pay for this as you go.
I didn't think about that.
Is this a private school? Like, don't give me the name of the university, but is this a reputable program? I've never heard of an executive MBA priced at $25,000.
I would not say it's a very well-known school.
Okay.
A well-known MBA program. It's brand new.
Is it even accredited?
Yes, it is.
I'm just telling you, oh man, I'm gonna get myself,
Go there. Do it.
Yes. You can definitely pay for this. Christina's right. If you're going to, I'm going to get myself in all kind of trouble with everybody. If you're going to get an MBA, I would rather see you have a bunch of work experience, have somebody at your job come in and tap you on the shoulder and say, we're going to pay for this thing and we want you to go to Yale, or we want you to go to Duke, or we want you to go to UT Knoxville. I want you to go to a really reputable program. We're going to help you pay on this. Or they come and say, you are leadership material, and the only path forward for you here is an MBA. Here's an opportunity. And by that time, you're making enough money that you can just cash flow this thing, and it's going to be uncomfortable for a year, but you're going to make it work. It just, okay. I can't wrap my head around to where it makes sense for you right now.
That's good. It feels like it's a little bit, a check mark. Like you've been told by your professors that you need this check mark in order to be more successful. And I just
it's
don't.
It's not true.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, go to grad school. And this is for everybody listening, don't go to grad school for a check mark. Go to grad school to learn something that is going to help you in, whether it's taking care of people, whether it is learning a trade, whether you're going to be a nurse practitioner and you're going back to get your master's, whatever, or there's a direct ROI on it. Go back to learn something. Don't go in it to just get a check mark, man, because it just doesn't. It doesn't pay off for itself in any ways. And I'm not even somebody who's every degree has to ROI. I'm not even that guy. I'm more philosophical about it. I love higher ed. But man, it won't even pay off in your soul. You won't walk away thinking I learned something. You'll think I gave you 25 grand, you gave me a certificate, and we high-fived, and then we moved on with our lives. And it's not the exchange that you want.
I'm with you on that. How does that feel to you?
I get it. I really do. And honestly, it would be a really big stress just to go straight from college to grad school. So I enjoy my job. I actually love my job right now. So that kind of gives me a little bit of relief to think about it. I do have time,
You got so much time. Hey, you know what I want you to practice for the next 6 months? Rest. You haven't done that in 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years. What if you just went to work and worked really, really hard, and you read books and you hung out with people, and what if you did that?
That would be amazing.
I love the joy in your voice. And this is coming from, a former dean of higher education. This is somebody who's been in the education world. And so it's like, we give you that permission.
And you've got 2 people with graduate degrees. We've both been there, okay? And we're both telling you, just take a break for a minute. I think you are going to get a graduate degree one day, and I'm going to cheer you on. I want you to send us a graduation photo when you walk across that stage. I think that's in your future. I can't make it make sense right now. If you're my sister, or you're my close friend, or you're a daughter of one of my buddies, I would be telling you this exact same thing.
Mackenzie, go forth in peace. Rest assured that you will be fine without the check mark.
And I want hold on before we. I want everybody. I'm always telling 20-year-olds don't rest. That's your season to grind like crazy.
Yes.
And also, I know I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but I was reading between the lines here. This is a young woman who has clawed and scratched and worked like crazy to not owe any debt, and she has figured out a way to double major, get out of school. She got herself a job, and I want her to exhale for a minute because I want her to also learn how to be at peace. Because there's too many CEOs out there that know one speed, and that's 1,000 miles an hour, and they're falling over dead, right? And they're burning their teams out. And so I want people who know how to work really hard and who know how to rest well too. We need both of those things in the work world right now.
That's so good. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Next up, we have Caleb calling from Mobile, Alabama. Hey, Caleb, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, we're doing well. How are you?
Doing great.
How can we help?
Okay, so I had a bit of a question just thinking through and trying to self-assess a problem that I've seen in myself, and I kind of wanted y'all's input on it.
Let's go.
All right, so I've worked 3 different jobs. I'm 23 years old. I worked a small job out of high school for a year, and then I worked 3 years for a tech company, and now I'm currently working for a construction company that I've worked at for about a year and a half now. In all of these different positions, I found myself at different points through the job. I'm really excited when I start working for the new company, but then at some point along the path of that employment, whether it be something that happens with the job or just the amount of workload that I have, I start to feel resentment toward my boss and feel like I'm not getting valued or paid enough, and there's different things and different components of that with each of the different jobs that I've worked. And I'm kind of just trying to self-assess, is that a problem that is with me, that I'm seeing this through every single job that I've had, I'm finding that I have these same feelings toward my employer. And I'm trying to is this something that I need to fix, or is this actually something that's valid and justified?
I just want to pause real quick and say, at 23 years old, the fact that you have stopped and said, there are all these issues and I'm going to stop and self-assess, I'm really proud of you, Caleb. Because a lot of people your age would be just projecting out, it's my boss's fault, and they would just be pointing fingers and not even stop to take a minute. So just the fact that you picked up the phone and you called, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, good for you, man. So just track the pattern in your own life. Did this happen with your professors? Was it always the professor's fault that they changed the deadline on you and you got a B because you got screwed? And the umpire, man, if they had just called the game right, is that the kind of the story of your life?
I think so. I've never gone to college, so that could be the story along the lines with just different areas of my life that I've worked with that.
I'm just saying, is life just constantly coming to get you?
Honestly, no. Okay. I'm very excited about life, and I'm actually currently pursuing training in another course to take another job in tech again. So I don't think I have a life's always out to get me kind of mentality.
Okay,
everyone does to some extent.
Well, that's fantastic. That gives me some great data to work with. Here's what I had to wrestle with, and Christina, hop in here. Caleb, I very, very similar. In fact, I had a good mentor, a friend of mine, sit me down after my third or fourth job, and I was job hopping every couple of years. And here was my narrative. I would start the job, I would do really well at it. I would have some issues like I always do. And because I wasn't settled inside myself, I didn't have a good sense of purpose. I didn't really know why I was doing this job other than a paycheck, or I wanted people to think I was special, or I was waiting for my dad to call and tell me how proud of him he was for me, whatever the thing I was waiting for. It never came. That's just not how life works. And I then started finding people to blame, or as Brene Brown says, whatever you go looking for in the world, you're sure to find. I started seeking out places where I was getting screwed, where it could have been like this. They never even asked my opinion. Forget the 40 other times they asked my opinion that day. They didn't ask me on that one, and that's bullcrap. I'm going to go find it where you see what I'm saying? So I went looking for it, but all of that was me trying to place my self-esteem at the foot of my job. And that's not a workplace's job to prop me up. Does that make sense?
That makes very, very good sense. And I think you hit the nail on the head. That's the reason I'm so excited when I start this new job, because I'm it's this new family of people that I get to work with. And I'm really excited that, I get to the skills that I bring to the table. And then those feelings just slowly wane as I work at the company. And just, it doesn't fulfill me like I thought it was going to, or it did in the beginning.
So Caleb, you left high school and you didn't go to college, yes. Correct?
That is correct.
What was your vision when you left high school? What was the decision process when you went to get that first job? What kind of thought went into it?
So I worked in tech. I kind of ran a small business on my own. I did live sound audio engineering. So technical stuff.
Not what did you do, but how did you make the decision to get that specific job?
Okay. Yeah. So I made the decision based on, it was a nonprofit Christian ministry that I was working for, and they offered me a job directly, and I went directly out of high school into that tech position.
And that's what I'm kind of wondering and getting at is this kind of a feeling of confusion of you're not really landing at the career that you want, that you don't really have a vision for where you want to go? Where do you want to be in 10 years in your career? What is 33-year-old Caleb doing?
For sure. So I believe I've identified that. I love tech. I love the 3 years that I worked for that company, and I'm currently training to go into cybersecurity and information technology. I'm taking courses and stuff like that, but that is kind of my passion. I have a real passion for that. Just with my life circumstances, that's why I left the job that I was at, and it was a bad environment as well.
I want you to do the next layer, which I think is harder. Okay, so you've identified you have a passion for cybersecurity. This is John Deloney's opinion. Nobody else is at Ramsey Solutions. Okay, I think following your passion can sometimes be awful advice. because I'm real passionate about things I'm good at, and I'm really good at things that I practice. And for most of us, especially when we're in our teens and 20s, we practice things that we're made to practice. And when we keep jumping job to job to job, looking for a feeling, looking to feel passionate about it, we're never going to get there, because we're never going to be super good at the thing, because we're always moving around and we don't just put in that awful 4, 5, 7, 9 years of grindy work becoming really good at this trade. Whatever, if the trade is cybersecurity, the trade is being a police officer, the trade is whatever, you wake up and you're like, I'm really good at my job. And then you go deeper, like the roots start growing deep. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
And so here's what I want you, the exercise. Not so much 33-year-old Caleb, like, okay, you've got this job, you're cybersecurity. Tell us how that feels. Because you're going to have a crummy boss. You're going to have an idiot that keeps taking the food out of the fridge. Or you're going to be working from home all by yourself, and you're going to be lonely as all get out. You may or may not be married, and you may not have 2 or 3 kids running around making your life bananas and also bringing you more joy than you know what to do with. So what are you going to feel? What is this going to feel like?
It's going to feel really interesting because, I'm very passionate about those things, because cybersecurity in and of itself is just something that I've always had a passion for, defending and helping companies to overcome their security risk and stuff like that. I don't know if that's
so you're going to find peace by reaching out, like helping a company solve some of their problems.
Exactly right. Yes, sir.
And that piece is going to override when you have an employee, like a company that doesn't pay you, when you've got deadlines that you got to meet and you got to miss Christmas Eve because you're working. Like all those things are going to come, and they're going to be frustrating, but it's going to be worth it because you're working towards a purpose, right? You're working to help somebody else solve their problem, and that brings you peace and joy, right?
Exactly right. I think I understand exactly what you're trying to say. Find the thing that makes it worth all of the pain.
There you go.
That's so good.
Thank y'all so much for the help. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for calling. Gosh, that's powerful. And that's, John, you hit the nail on the head. That was good.
So yeah, I don't know. Here's all I know. I know I chased titles, and I chased money, and I chased credentials, and I chased little fancy plaques. And you've heard me say this a million times, but every time I get a plaque, every time I'd get a raise, I went with me. And I wasn't okay with me. And it wasn't until I almost melted the whole thing down that I realized I got to be okay with me. And then I'm free to move about the country, right? Then you're free to, whatever job comes, that's fine.
Right. Well, in almost any job, there's going to be challenges.
100% of jobs going to be challenges.
Yeah,
right?
That's just part of it. But if you're okay, then you can deal with them.
That's right.
We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day is John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came so that you would have life and have it abundantly. Our quote comes from Maya Angelou. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. Woo! I love that. Get it, girl.
All right. Hey, listen, if you haven't heard, Christina, this is pretty rad. On Tuesday, we announced the Marriage and Money. The Money and Marriage event is back with me and Rachel Cruz and a whole gang. It's going to be even wilder than ever before. And this time it's going to be a whole weekend. So join Rachel Cruz and me right here in Nashville for Money and Marriage Getaway in October that will have you and your spouse feeling more aligned and connected than ever before. The Money and Marriage Getaway is designed for you and your spouse to disconnect from everyday life, focus on marriage. Listen, all across the country, I'm hearing over and over and over lots of couples who actually love each other have become roommates. They've become co-managers of their house. They have lost sexual intimacy. Like, the whole thing's just a mess. This weekend-long event is for you. You're going to get a fun date night experience, time set aside to reflect and grow together, and plenty of encouragement and ideas from Rachel Cruz and me that will help the two of you stay on the same page about money and your future. Now, listen, there's platinum-level seats that are almost already sold out. We announced this on Tuesday, and it's almost already all gone. Get on there right now. It's a 3-day event. Ticket prices start at $6.99. Now, listen, on Tuesday, I was like, man, that's expensive. Come to find out, marriage retreats are $1 billion. This is the deal of a lifetime. I had no idea. My wife's like, yeah, maybe if you took me on a marriage retreat once in a while. But listen, $6.99, 3-day event. Go to RamseySolutions.com/events to reserve your spots. RamseySolution.com/events. If you screwed up Valentine's Day, the week's not over. This is your shot. Go to RamseySolutions.com/events. Get your money and marriage tickets for you and your spouse, and maybe she'll forgive you.
That's so good. That's going to be such an awesome event. All right. I wanted to hit on this. We're coming up on the February 28th Supreme Court decision, or I guess trial, for the student loan forgiveness program. And so you can already kind of feel the tension rising. You can feel all the media outlets starting to talk about it, and you're seeing all these articles about anxiety around student loans and people being confused and not knowing what's going to happen. And I came across one article that was really interesting. I wanted to talk to you about it. And it says that majority of student loan borrowers link mental health issues to their debt. I'm like, that is huge. And especially right now with all of this limbo, I can't even imagine like what that's got to feel like to be sitting on top of all this debt and just not knowing what's going to happen next. So this article says most student loan borrowers will struggle to pay their loan debts, and more than half say the amount of debt they owe is putting a strain on their mental health. A survey from the online education program ELVTR found that 54% of student loan borrowers experience mental health challenges due to the amount of debt they owe. 56% of those whose mental health is affected by students' loans say they've experienced anxiety, while about a third said that they suffered from depression because of student loans. The survey also found that student borrowers are putting off major life events due to debt, including starting a family, purchasing a home, and traveling.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And when I think about the phrase mental health, I got all kind of issues with all kind of phrases, but when I think about mental health, I think of a couple of different avenues. One is autonomy. Do I have say in my life? Do I have say in what happens tomorrow and what comes next? Do I have some decision-making power in my life? And if I owe $100,000 to the government or to some student loan provider, I don't. They are deciding where I work. They're deciding what jobs I take or don't take. They're deciding where I live. They're deciding whether I start that small business, not me. And so linking back, yeah, that's going to cause your body to sound some alarms. You're not running the show. Somebody else is running your life, right? If I think about one of my famous psychologists who I just love, Irwin Yalom, in existential psychology, this idea, this death anxiety, like there's an end coming. Oh. If you have been someone paying back student loans over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years in this constant, maybe, I don't know, maybe, in this looming thing coming at you, and if you owe 50 or 60 or 75 grand, we've been telling you for years, for the last couple of years, pay it off while there's no interest, pay it off while they keep punting it, but millions and millions have not. They know that if this thing gets struck down, that they're going to be faced with a $75,000 or $80,000 bill, and that sense of foreboding. That's mental health, right? I mean, that's gonna bury you in a day, or that's gonna just constantly keep the back of your mind churning all day, every day. If you want to get married, if you want to start a family, if you want to buy a house, and you can't because you've got this $200,000 chain around your neck, right? Mm-hmm. All of those things play into this sense of, am I safe? Am I connected to people, and do I have autonomy? And student loans, in many cases, take all three of those things away from you.
So I'm talking to all these people. I've been, talking about this for months. And then just literally last night, I talked to somebody who was like, I want to pay off my debt. We had an FPU class and somebody's like, I want to pay off my debt, but the decision on student loan forgiveness is coming up. So should I just wait? Should I hold off? And I think that we're in this season where everybody kind of feels like they're in the holding pattern, right? They're like, it's so close, but yet it's so far away, like you said. So what would you say to the person who is feeling anxiety and feeling depression? How do they ride out this next few months of complete uncertainty?
I mean, this sounds so cliche at this point, but really you got to sit down and decide what you can control and what you can't. Mm-hmm. And I made the decision, if me and my wife did, both of us grew up with not a lot of money. And we also didn't have any our parents didn't have insights into how student loans work. You just signed that paper and you got to go to college. And then both of us went to grad school, and then both of us kept going to grad school. And so we ended up with a combined 6 figures of student loan debt, a lot.
So you've been there. You have literally felt those feelings.
I couldn't breathe. Walked around my house and my wife's asleep, has no idea how bad things are because I'm keeping it from her.
Was that linked to your mental health struggles?
Oh my gosh, yes. Ooh. It was the first time in my life I felt I'm not in control of what happens next, and it was paralyzing. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I was dishonest with my wife. I didn't tell her how bad it was. It was catastrophic. But I made the choice at the end of the day. It was an integrity issue for me. I told somebody, whoever this faceless, nameless somebody is, mm-hmm. if you give me money to go to college, I'll pay you back. And I signed my name on that paper. I was 18 years old. I didn't know what I was signing, but I signed my name. And so it was a big deal to me to work. I mean, we worked 3 or 4 jobs. Like I said, we sold our house, moved into an apartment in a residence hall. We figured it out. We drove. Yeah. We're still driving old, right? We've made sacrifice after sacrifice after sacrifice, far beyond my salary. We were making more money than the life we were living because we were still paying stuff back. But for me, it's provided a great deal of peace. Because I told you I'd pay you back, and I paid you back.
So, okay, you're in that moment where it's like you're struggling with anxiety linked to student loans, and then obviously something clicked and y'all got the multiple...
It's a tiny, tiny step towards a solution. Not waiting for some maybe dragon or some maybe angel to swoop in and solve my problem. Because it's just not. And if you look at all the fine print, it continues to, the sign-off continues to reduce, right? It's like, well, I'm going to wipe all your student loans away. Then maybe $25,000, then maybe $10,000 for a very select few borrowers, and some of my buddies who are professors, they got a letter in the mail. You have no more loans. It just went away. That was awesome. And I've got others who are just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I just made the choice in our home. I can't continue to live with this existential anxiety.
Yeah. Just waiting
what's
to
coming.
see.
I'm going to start taking action.
And I think that's so big. We've been saying it throughout this whole debacle of pause being extended and being extended and being extended. You got to control what you can control. Right. And right now, I think this next season is going to be kind of wild, and people need to buckle up and get ready for a lot of back and forth with the government and student loan forgiveness, a lot of confusion and kind of feeling like chaos. But look at your situation, look at your finances, and what can you control? Start working to pay these off, even if it feels crazy and you're waiting. Just take control and start tackling these now. All right, that puts this hour of the Ramsey Show in the books. Thanks to Austin, Ben, James, Zach, and Andrew in the booth, and to you, America, for listening. We'll be back soon. Hey, it's Christina Ellis. If you love the show and want to dive deeper on your money journey, we have a weekly newsletter that gives you trending and helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for our newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter.